Welcome to Management 605. Let's get on with the overview. Welcome to the Management 605 course overview. The course elements are as follows. Every week there will be a topic that we cover, and the coverage will take the following five parts. First, there will be a reading from the Kouzitz and Posner book and from the Phillips book on Lincoln. There will be self-assessment. A self-assessment is some kind of exercise that gets you to think about your leadership style and gets you to apply some conceptual material to your leadership style so that hopefully the more abstract concepts will be more concrete and real to you and get you to think about how you are as a leader and how you are ethically and how you are creatively, and there are some fun ones here. There'll also be some slide presentations. The slide presentations will be presentation usually of substance, like a textbook, that substitute for a textbook. So I will talk about some concepts and how they apply, how they're inspired by the Lincoln's Life and the Kouzitz and Posner kind of book, and get a little bit more abstract. I want you to get some conceptual material to provide a structure for what those other books are saying to get it to an MBA level course. The books are not MBA level course. They are interesting though, and so we'll take it for that. Every week there will be a graded discussion board post that will often take the form of getting you to report on the result of your self-assessment, whether you agree with that self-assessment. Now, this course starts on a Wednesday, and I'm going to have you do those first four things by Sunday. Earlier is fine. And then after Sunday, I want you to do the second discussion board post, which usually requires you to respond to your classmates' discussion board posts and further apply the material. There's a method to my madness here. I want you to get to know each other, form relationships as much as you can based on an online class, but knowing me is great, but knowing each other might be more relevant over the course of your many-year career after this course. If you have any trouble with the technology, or if there's anything that's not showing, or anything any questions you have, please get in contact with me. Sometimes I make mistakes, and sometimes the technology is difficult. It's not easy even for me to handle, even though I've done this a few times now. And maybe there's something that some question of yours I can answer. This course begins Wednesday, October 21st, finishes December 11th. I've got it all planned out. This is me, my office. Please come and visit during my office hours, Tuesday and Thursday, 12:30 to 1:45. You could also call me or send me an email. Email is preferred, probably because I can answer it in my convenience. I have a web page. It's something that's automatically done by the university, no big deal. I don't keep a lot of stuff on it. I don't even look at it that much. This has this slide also has the texts. Of course, the Phillips text we've talked about, the Kouzitz and Posner text, the recommended text, McShane and von Glenau. This is a very nice text. I like it. It explains the concepts in more detail. You might find it very useful, and so I'd recommend it. It's not even it's a 2000, it's an old text, but the concepts in OB sort of like stay consistent. So get the text if you want more detail. Also feel free to ask. I will, like I say, it's a 7-week course. I can't go into a lot of detail, but I hope to get you at least started. I'll be following these course learning objectives fairly closely. You'll see these in the material for each week. Analyze the challenges of leading with integrity in a dynamic, complex global and work environment. I will bring in the global aspect of the work environment. I will bring in integrity, and the business world is changing. My goal is partially to help you to understand how to manage in this, but also for the next 20, 30 years to just understand how to manage people in a very complex and difficult situation. 2, analyze how individual values impact leadership actions, impact these actions on followers. I need you to understand that leaders today don't simply tell followers what to do. Leaders today have to get the passion, have to get the creativity out of their followers. You have to absolutely get the maximum contribution that followers have to offer, or you're not going to be competitive. The the value in, for example, of intelligence or knowledge is less today because that's sort of a commodity. We understand a lot about management, what we need to do to make organizations successful. And that's available at very low price from many areas around the world, India and China, for example. But what you can't outsource to India and China are the passion and creativity and initiative of leaders, of followers. And it's a challenge to bring that out. Evaluate what leaders do to build and sustain effective teams. So we're going to talk a little bit about interpersonal relations and working together. Analyze building one-on-one work relationships with superiors. So that's going to be touched. The advantages of different communication techniques. There's going to be a week on communication. Lincoln especially was very, very good at this. Compare effective leadership followers. Positive outcomes are achieved of power bases. There's going to be a week on power bases and influence in management. So the idea here is to use power, influence people without oppressing them and oppressing the creativity and initiative out of them. And then ethical issues. So I will cover these in the course, maybe not directly one by one, but they're themes that should be in this course, and you'll get exposed to them. As is implied in the earlier slide, the course methodology is we'll use a self-reflective approach. So what I want you to do is think about a topic, how it applies to you personally, and then how you compare yourself with others, and also through the readings and through these slideshows, you should get a very basic understanding of the concepts relevant for the course. 7.5 hours should be about what you spend every week for this course. That's the time spent reading the assigned books, completing the self-assessments, and going to the discussion board, doing your post there. More time if you want to get more out of the course, maybe get a higher grade. Less time you're risking. Getting everything you could get out of the course. If you have a full course load, 7.5 hours a week adds up to about 35.5 hours. So that's a full course load for a student. So anyway, that's the expectation. There'll be 2 components of the course. The first part is a discussion board posts. There will be 6 weeks of these, 2 posts per week, 5 points per post for most of them. And pretty much I'll describe them a little bit more in detail. The last post is 12 points, not 5, because it's a paper on ethics, and that's 12 points. It's a required course assessment. That's 67 points. The last part of the course is the final exam, 33 points. A very different type of exercise from the discussion board post. The final exam will ask you to basically describe concepts and how they apply and how they relate to each other. To do well on the final exam, you have to know the material, and knowing the material means that you'd have to study. I want you to study more so than in the discussion board post. To help you with the final exam, I have prepared a final exam study guide, which is in the files directory. that has all the terms that I've covered in the slides of the course. In addition, all those terms have definitions and citations, so you can look them up in McShane van Glenau mostly, but there's also some terms that are cited from Kouzes and Posner, the Phillips text, and also some other academic articles. I have a few very important concepts that I want you to know. So those terms are in the study guide. You should know those terms. I want them to be part of your vocabulary that you use every day, not something that you just have in a file somewhere and look up. You shouldn't be looking these up. You should be familiar with them. And the final exam will ask you to talk about them. Now, you get a score on all those components, and it'll add up somewhere between 0 and 100, and then the grade you get is in this point range here, this table. That's the evaluation. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck. As noted before, each week we'll have discussion board posts. And this is a slight description of the discussion board posts. Now, I will be grading these posts based on 4 criteria. One is, in your post you show an understanding of the relevant concepts. 2, have you been responsive to the post rubric? And that includes things like, did you post the scores of your self-assessments in a consistent way, in an accurate way? Did you follow directions? 3, logical consistency or logical compellingness of your arguments. If you have to make an assessment or compare 2 different terms or apply a motivation style to a leadership style or something like that, does it make sense? Is it logically compelling, logically consistent with the underlying concepts? And 4th is the quality of writing. I want you to show MBA level professional writing in these posts, and if you have errors in grammar, they'll take away from that impression. So if you have any questions about grading, feel free to get in touch with me, but this is the rubric that I'll be following. The final exam will be 33 points, and there is a template of the final exam on the study guide for the final, so you know what it looks like, at least in paper form. It looks a little different when I put it online, but there'll be 2 parts. The first part is short answer. I'm going to give you a term, and I want you to describe what the term means in your own words and apply that term to a realistic business situation. Just show me that you know how to use the term correctly in a way that reflects the way we've used the term in the course. The second part will be a longer answer, and that will require you to compare 2 or 3 of the terms from the course in a longer essay answer, and those answers should be, again, be consistent in your meaning of the terms, show that you understand the terms, and that your argument for a relationship between the terms will be logical. Now, here's my grading rubrics on clarity and convincingness of your answers, and again, the final exam is in the directory. If you have any questions on the final, let's have a discussion. I'll put a discussion board up. I'll answer all your questions. It should be a focus of your work from day 1. Please be learning the material so that you will do well on the final, and please learn the material as we go through the course, as I go over the slides, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time learning new material or learning the material for the first time towards the end of the course. The schedule of classes is as follows. The first week we go over the syllabus, but the main concept, the main substantive material is on leadership theory. So I want you to understand what leadership is and how different theories we have, different explanations for how effective leaders operate. Now, second week, leaders have to understand how followers are motivated. So there's motivation theory. Let's look at some ideas as to how people are motivated. and get you to explore what motivates you. Third, interpersonal relationships, some issues related to power and influence, the tools that leaders use, and in particular, the idea of trust. That trust is important, and a theme in this part of the course is why trust is important. It's sort of a break from old leadership theories where a, a leader would be someone who commands followers to submit themselves to their will. No, that's not the way that we get the best out of people. That works for obedience, but it doesn't work to get followers to do anything more complex. Leading organizations into the future. In the future, we have some forecasting or some ideas as to how to, given that the unknowns that organizations have in this turbulent world, how do we deal with that? And then dealing with innovation. There are some examples that I have from teaching strategic management and other courses of how organizations successfully innovate in the complex global environment, and I want you to be familiar with some of those ideas. The last week on leadership communication and ethics, I'll give you some extra time there over the Thanksgiving break. That topic deals with communication, which Lincoln was very good at, and ethics, which should be a way to glean together a lot of the material that we've done so far. Why are ethics important, given that, so many businesses today are not very ethical? Well, let's explore that topic a little bit. So do those last two posts, and then we have a couple days to prepare for the final exam, and I'll give you 3 days to do the final exam, and that's the course.